Yo, what's up? Dr. Swole here. Today we're going to be talking about why you must desexualize your brain. Desexualizing my brain changed my life, and I know that it'll change yours too. This is going to apply to anyone who's watching porn all the time, finds themselves distracted by sexual thoughts, or has a feed full of sexualized content. This is a really underrated issue because it's so rampant in society right now and it's become normalized. Especially more recently with the rise of IG models and OnlyFans girls, you have a lot more guys who are wasting away their lives because of sexualized content. In this video, I'm going to be talking about some of the biggest reasons for why you must desexualize your brain, and I'll be going through solutions for what to do to address them. And I'll be explaining the root causes for why you got into this situation in the first place. The first point here, and one of the biggest reasons why guys are so hypersexualized these days, is that you have no excitement in your life. Recently, my buddy and I hosted a content party where we had a whole bunch of people together. It was 007 James Bond themed. We dressed up to the nines and had a professional photographer. It took a lot of work to organize the event, but it was well worth it. At the end of the party, we stayed up late trading stories from the night, and I thought to myself how these are going to be the memories I'm going to have forever. If you feel like your life is monotonous, that you're always on the same routine, this is a surefire sign that you need to spice things up. I think one of the biggest solutions here is that you need to try new things. Every month you should be trying something that's completely different. Whether it's trying new food, picking up a new hobby, or exploring a new place. Think about being social and going on adventures. One of the biggest reasons guys turn to porn and sexualized content is because they're bored. When you're sitting at home on your couch with nothing interesting to do, you don't have friends to hang out with, you don't have a fun date to go on, your mind is going to think of ways to direct all of that energy. And it's not surprising that a lot of guys' minds will go towards sex. You want to fill up your calendar so that you're so busy that you don't even have time to think about that kind of stuff. Make a list of things that you've seen other people do that you think are cool and start knocking them off. You'll find that bringing in these new things breathes excitement and energy into your life. The second reason why you must desexualize your brain is because it's messing up your dating life. The thing about dating, especially for guys, is that there's a lot of work that has to go into bettering yourself to actually making yourself a dateable person. Especially with the advent of social media, we live in a time where dating is more competitive than ever. Everyone has access to Instagram so they can see all these models, billionaires, and crazy successful people, and you are subconsciously being compared to them. When you quit porn and desexualize your brain, you'll have a lot more energy to focus towards actually improving your dating life. Now, there are two major components you want to think about when it comes to dating. The first part is that you need to improve yourself. This is actually the most important part. It doesn't matter how many times you walk past a piece of garbage on the street, you're just not going to eat it. You have looks and fitness, money and career, status and social network, and personality and experience. You're going to have to improve yourself in all those dimensions if you actually want to get dates. This is particularly important for men because women's attraction is a lot more complex than for guys. As a man, you need to be on top of every one of those categories in your life if you want to get your dream girl. In terms of where to start, the easiest place is to get into good physical shape. If you get yourself into the best shape of your life, you are definitely going to start noticing more attraction from women. The second part in improving your dating life is to meet more people. Really start focus on building your social circle, meeting both guys and girls, and then start learning how to strike up conversations with girls in person. You're going to find that when you quit porn and get rid of all this virtual sexualized content, you're going to have a lot more energy in actual interactions in person, and girls will notice this in how you speak, carry yourself, and in your confidence. One thing that a lot of porn addicts will say is that they don't have as much confidence when they're overindulging. You'll find that when you are sexually disciplined, you will have that sexual energy that you can use towards interactions in dating. We've interviewed over 1,000 girls this year, and confidence consistently comes out on top as one of the most attractive qualities in men. When you're able to channel all of that energy into real live interactions, you're going to notice a clear difference in your results with women. The third reason why you must desexualize your brain is that it's stopping you from chasing purpose. As men, purpose needs to be the central pillar in our lives. You need to build your life around creating an impact in the world. As men, we were designed to create things, conquer things, and build things. And society seems to have gone astray lately, with people really focusing on temporary pleasure. Watching porn and staring at Instagram models on your phone is basically temporary pleasure. And ultimately, humans are simple animals. When possible, we're going to want to take the easy way out, and temporary pleasure is the easiest way to feel good in the moment. A lot of men don't feel fulfilled, and that's because they don't have a strong purpose in their lives. The thing about this kind of purpose though is that it takes a long time and a lot of work for it to pay off. You need to find some way where you're utilizing your strengths to make an impact in the world that's positive. For me, my purpose is to help young men who are like myself when I was 18. My social media has always been directed towards this purpose, and I get a huge amount of satisfaction from impacting people's lives. So the key thing here is tying your satisfaction to the mission. As long as you're executing the mission, that should be enough to make you feel happy. Ultimately, porn and sexualized content is a very empty reward. Basically, you didn't have to do anything to get to it. But when you're building a business, being an athlete or a musician, you put in a huge amount of work and then get the payoff at the end. And that cycle of work and reward is the most fulfilling part. I want you to have rewards and pleasure in your life, but those should be tied to you executing your mission and actually putting in the work. When you desexualize your brain, you're also going to find that you have a lot more energy to direct towards productive activities. A lot of people in the semen retention movement will talk about this, where they'll find that they have a lot more energy and become a lot more productive when they're not overindulging in masturbation. And this point goes beyond just porn and Instagram. Now, guys are spending endless amounts of time swiping and trying to message random girls. I do think that dating is normal and healthy, but you want to have it in the right proportions in your life. If you're spending all of your free time trying to get laid, you're going to be taking away a lot from your success and your ultimate potential. This is triply important because as a young man, when your hormones are raging at the highest and you want women the most, this is also the most important time for you to double down on work and your success. And that's because the work you put in now will pay off exponentially with time. When you look at some of the most successful people in the world, whether they're businessmen, musicians, or athletes, a lot of them started off young. Starting early will give you a big advantage, and that's another reason why you need to double down on your mission and your purpose now. Now, the fourth reason why you need to desexualize your brain is that you're overstimulated. This is a bigger issue that goes beyond just sexualized content, but it's one that really bothers me. Nowadays, we spend hours and hours every day on our phones, and what this does is that it messes up with your dopamine system. Being overstimulated and having all this content at your fingertips basically raises your baseline level of dopamine, and what it does is that it raises your threshold for actually feeling that natural high from things. This is actually really important for our previous point because if you want to be really successful, it's important for you to master your dopamine system. If your brain is always constantly expecting this high level stimulation, it's going to be hard to just buckle down and work. Back when I was an undergrad student and trying to get into med school, there were times on the weekend when I would spend 13 hours a day studying, and I'd be fully focused for virtually all of that time. Back then I had minimal stimulation in my life. I would only go on social media when I was eating meals. I wouldn't party during the school year, I didn't use any substances, and working out and listening to music were basically my rewards for the day. I remember this day really clearly in first year undergrad, walking into our final exam for calculus. UBC had this really big gym complex where they had 3 big gymnasiums back to back, and during the day they'd have big divider curtains between each of the gyms, so you could have full court basketball games in each of them. For this calculus exam though, they opened up the curtains so all 3 gyms were connected, and there were 700 desks and chairs set out in that gym for everyone to take the exam at once. I remember walking into that exam and basically seeing people in chairs stretching out for as far as you could see. This was a very competitive course because everyone in it was basically trying to get into med school. And I just remember looking around calmly at this sea of people and telling myself that I'm going to beat every single one of you. In the end, I ended up ranking second, not quite what I said, but the reason that I was so confident was that I knew that no one else had the dedication and discipline to put in the amount of work that I did. When you can control the amount of stimulation from your life and get joy from doing hard things, it will become an unstoppable weapon of productivity. Now, the last reason why you must desexualize your brain is that it's a huge distraction. Everyone talks about how you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, but this also applies to content. What you fill your feed with is ultimately what you fill your mind with. And I think it's underrated how much content influences our thoughts because we spend so much time consuming it. And the thing about this content is that sometimes it's not even that bad a thing, but it's the amount of time that you're wasting consuming it that's the problem. You can kind of see this like drinking empty calories in the form of soda. Now, one of the big problems with porn and sexualized content is that it becomes a positive feedback loop. As you consume more sexualized content, your brain gets wired to expect more. And guys will find that their minds are constantly thinking about sex. They're constantly fantasizing about it, watching porn, or going on dating apps. And you can think about this as the same as disciplining yourself with what you eat. In our interviews with girls would say that one of the most attractive things about gym guys was the discipline that it displayed. When you exert some discipline and cut that positive feedback loop, you'll come back to homeostasis where you have a healthy amount of sexual energy in your life and to a point where it's not distracting you. Now, one of the big problems today is that we have so many triggers all over for sexualized content. You have porn at your fingertips and you have half-naked girls showing up under every category on social media. What you have to do is you have to cut out all of these triggers cold turkey. So I will actively unfollow girls who are posting thirst traps all the time. And when I'm shown posts that are hypersexualized, I'll actually tell the app to show me less of that type of content. And this allows me to control my feed and what's going into my mind. What you can do instead is watch productive content. YouTube is a great place for this. And the good thing about the YouTube algorithm is that it learns what you want to see based on what you watch. So start watching productive content, how-tos, podcast interviews, and things that you can actually learn from or be inspired from. Go out and find 5 people that are inspiring or educational to you in some way and follow them on Instagram now. Now, desexualizing your brain isn't something that's necessarily going to happen overnight. Your brain took a while to get wired this way, and it makes sense that it's going to take time for you to get out of it. So start implementing the tips that I gave today, be patient about it, and you're going to watch your life transform. If you want more motivation to desexualize your brain, check out this video where I talk about how desexualizing your brain is a cheat code. Make sure you subscribe to the channel to transform your life, and we'll see you next time.